You guys ever had a game or a group of games as a kid that you would just play on repeat? It didn't matter how many times you'd beaten it, how many times you'd played through, that you always had to come back to it. I, as a kid, had more than a few of these. Back in the glory days of the glorious and pristine PlayStation 2.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
That was the time where I fell in love with a certain number of games, and that was all until I found out about Halo, and then I had to go and get an Xbox. The important thing was the PlayStation 2 and these games that I played as a kid were peak moments of my childhood. It's what got me in love with gaming. And one of these games and game series that I fell in love with was a little game named by Naughty Dog called Jak and Daxter. This game, or this trilogy, is to me some of the best stuff Naughty Dog has ever put out. And really, that sounds insane because it is. I know Naughty Dog. I love their other games. You know, we can talk about Uncharted, The Last of Us. I'm there with you. I love them. But the thing about this game and this trilogy of games is they did something so incredible in really just such a time when there was not much technological advancement, and it is just so much fun to play even to this day. Now, my nostalgia glasses are massive. I understand that. I am willing to admit it. But for me, this is my favorite trilogy that Naughty Dog's ever put out. And yeah, I said it. I'm willing to stand on it. So today I want to talk just for a little bit about my favorite trilogy in Naughty Dog's catalog of games, Jak and Daxter. Here we go. So this isn't going to be a major retrospective or something going into the story in depth or just a review deep dive into everything that there is about Jak and Daxter. This is more of just me expressing my love for something that I had as a kid. You know, we all have something that got us into gaming. This wasn't the exact game that started gaming for me, but it was the game that made me stay with gaming. I think we all have that experience. We all have games that we used to play a ton as a kid. And this is mine. These 3 games shaped my childhood, and I would, as soon as I got done with the campaign of one of these games, I would go right back and restart it again because it was that impactful for me. So the first one I'll start out with is, we'll just go in a line. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, the first game. This game, really, what it is a 3D platformer. And that's what the basic of these 3 games are in this trilogy. They're 3D platformers. You know, back in the day, we all know it, we grew up with it. 3D platformers were more of a mainstay in gaming. I'd say nowadays they've kind of fallen to the wayside, and we still get some here and there. But really back in the day, 3D platformers were the thing. They were so cool. There was so much cool innovation that we just don't get now. And you kind of see it. This trilogy, the things that I'm going to mention here kind of show the innovation that they had. But with this first game, it's really simple. It's just you're a boy named Jak and Daxter, who was a boy, and then he got turned into this little rat thing. But he's his sidekick. It's a classic hero and sidekick story. And their main thing is they have to get, just like many games back in the day, you have to get from point A to point B, and you got to go through a bunch of obstacles to get there. You got to collect these things called power cells, which will power up your next machine to get you to the next area. There's a bunch of little plot points. Really, they're just ways to drive the story forward so that Jak and Daxter can get to their next location and have their adventures. And really, it's that simple. This game is so much fun to me because its simplicity is what makes it great.
Keep it simple, stupid. Great advice. Hurts my feelings every time.
It's not trying to do a ton. It's not trying to tell the most crazy story in the world. It's not even that long. You can finish this game in probably like 5 hours max if you really push through it and it's your multiple times playing it through. But what's so amazing about it, again, is its simplicity. It's not trying to change the world. It's not trying to be the next great game. It's just trying to be fun, which is something that I think a lot of gaming companies these days have kind of lost touch with. They want to make the best thing ever. They want to make the one that's going to break every record. And yeah, every game should aspire to be the best it can be, but at the same time, you know, some games are just fun because they're just good games. It's not because of their graphics. It's not because of the story. It's just because they're fun to play. And that's exactly what this game is. It is just so much fun to play. It's a 3D platformer. There's no guns, there's no weapons really. It's just you, your fists, and jumping around from platform to platform. So this game, again, not going into a deep dive with these stories. I don't really want to make this too long, but just the essence of what this game is. 3D platformer, very simple. Story is you're getting from point A to point B in order to help your friend Daxter. That's the whole point of this first game story. And it's incredible. It's probably my favorite of the three. Going right in line, the next one that we'll talk about is Jak 2. Now this one is where I say they had the innovation coming in. This is where Naughty Dog kind of tried to experiment a little bit and add some things in that were really foreign to what the first game was going with. So one of those big things is Jak, he now talks. Didn't mention that before, but in Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, Jak does not talk. Daxter does all the talking. He's the funny sidekick. He's making all the one-liners. Now Jak also talks. But in Jak and Daxter 1, Jak is very much just the silent protagonist, and he's a young boy. You can see he's very, timid and shy. In Jak 2, they have him have a grow-up stage, and now he's talking. He's a little bit more dark, brooding, and he has a little bit more of a toughness about him. And that kind of shows like his maturity growing up. But there's multiple things that they did with this. They brought in with the eco powers that were in the first one, which I didn't touch on, but eco is basically like the power in this world. There's different life sources, and eco kind of helps that. It gives you electricity, gives you health, like all sorts of things like that. It's basically like the life source of this world of Jak and Daxter. And in this Jak 2, they infuse Jak with dark eco, which dark eco is basically what you can think of in anything. It's like dark side of the force, dark side this. Every story that has something dark usually means it's bad. With this story, Jak gets infused with it, and he's able to use its powers to make him more powerful, more threatening. And the dark eco is kind of a main point of this plot. Makes Jak a little bit more edgy, makes him a little bit more angrier at the people who did this to him. In the second game, they go into the future, and they get into this place where now the world that they once knew is now more modern. It has a city. You can drive around in these hovercraft vehicles. You can tell that they were really inspired by the games of their times around the time that this came out, like GTA, because you're able to take this hovercraft and drive it all around. If you run into a guard or something, the alarms will sound, and then you'll start getting chased by the police. So a lot of influences there. And another influence from the games surrounding them was the addition of guns. Now, it's not the most in-depth gun system. It's really not all that impressive as far as you don't really aim. You just move your analog stick, and as long as you're in the direction of the enemy you want to shoot, it'll probably hit. It's not a guarantee, but they added these guns as a way to innovate and kind of bring some flavor into the combat rather than just punching and spinning and doing all those different things with your fists. Now you can still do those things, but you added the addition of these guns, and these guns make it really interesting and make it have some different combat scenarios. And it's not just the guns. The hovercrafts were a cool addition. One thing that I really like is the hoverboard. You get something that's basically like a skateboard, and it hovers over the ground, and you can do a bunch of tricks with it. It's so much fun when you're going from mission to mission, and you can just ride that hoverboard there, and you can do all these kick flips, ollies, all sorts of things with it. It's such a cool addition to it that just makes traversal so much better. But that's just the example. In this next game that I'll talk about in the last one in the trilogy is the same way of how Naughty Dog was just able to take a formula that was so simple and so much fun, but then they infused some innovation into it to make it a little bit more with the times. Like games around you were adding in guns, we're adding in, driving around in vehicles, and they did that, but they did it in a way that doesn't compromise the main fun of these games. And, again, won't touch on the story much, but the story ups the ante. There's a lot more danger involved. There's a lot more, the enemies seem more vicious towards Jak and towards Daxter. And, just overall, they kind of just up the ante. And that's what you want with a sequel. You don't necessarily want your sequel to just be a rehash of what you did in the first game. My idea for a sequel is usually, do similar to what the first one was, but do it at least 10% better. In this, I would say they probably did it 15 to 20% better because of all the new additions that they made. So Jak 2, great sequel, really ups the ante and takes this trilogy into a different direction that I think really paid off. All right, so the bookend to this trilogy is Jak 3. And this one kind of leads off. It's basically taking place right after the Jak 2. And it leads with Jak getting banished into this wasteland, which is just a desert. It's where people go, and supposedly they're supposed to die, but Jak finds out that there is this city here that's been thriving this whole time. And with this addition of this city, you have all the elements from the second game back in this one. I guess I would say also from the first game, because you still have the physical abilities to punch and to, do your spins and jumping and all that. It's all the same, which is part of what makes it really great, but they add still the guns from Jak 2 into this. The thing with the guns is they added more modifications. Now each gun has like 3 different firing modes rather than just the one. So when you're in battle, you have so many options to take out your enemies. And that's one of the innovations that they made from Jak 2 to Jak 3. The other addition, they still have the hoverboard. They still have, when you get back to the city, the hovercraft that you can fly around and drive around in. But another addition with them being in this sand city is they have now the addition of the Doom buggies. There's multiple different Doom buggies, and they all do different things. One of my favorite ones is one that jumps. It can jump super high. It like crouches down and it jumps super high so you can get to different levels of the map. And it's super cool. They all have their own different abilities. And you'll go out and hunt metalheads or different animals in the environment of this desert. But just overall, it adds a whole nother environment for you to go and explore in this world. Now, the story, some people I know were kind of mixed. You're asking a person who, as a kid, I cared about the story, but I cared more about how the game was played and how much fun I had with it. And I'll tell you, I had a ton of fun with this game. It adds in you still have dark eco, but it adds in light eco, which light eco gives you whole new abilities where you can now fly, you can now stop time. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with that. What I really loved about it is that they just took everything that was great about 2 and again made a great sequel, added more stuff, added more innovation, but kept the same core mechanics that the previous 2 games had. So Jak 3 for me was just a great bookend to a cool trilogy that, again, I replayed these all the time and I loved it. So in summary, this trilogy, like I said, it's not going to be on many people's radar as one of the best trilogies of all time. I understand that. In fact, it's probably not going to be ranked at the top of Naughty Dog's catalog of games.
This is also true.
Which are incredible at this point. I'm a fan. In the future, I'll talk about The Last of Us. Uncharted is a great series. Even Crash Bandicoot is pretty great. But for me, I like touching on this game so much, or this trilogy of games, because they have such a special place in my heart. I still play them to this day. This is one of the games that my wife, when I go and play video games, she loves watching this. She wants me to play it all the time because she has that same love for it. It's such a fun trilogy, and the thing is, it was innovative for its time. Like I said, they didn't just sit back and make 3 games that were the exact same of each other. They innovated and made different renditions and just kept improving upon the formula. And that's something that I wish a lot of game companies would get back into. When you have a cool series, don't completely remix and mess up the formula. Keep the formula and just keep improving upon it. That's one thing that a company that I think does this great is From Software. From Software has the formula down. They just make a new rendition of it and improve the formula. Make little innovations, but keep the bones the same. And that's what Naughty Dog did here. It's such a cool world to step into. And every time I step back into it, I captured footage just for this video. And I wanted to keep playing the games because I just have that much fondness for the story. So yeah, in conclusion, really great trilogy. I strongly recommend it. If you have not played these games, I strongly recommend you to do it. I know on PlayStation, they have the trilogy all packaged up. You can also obviously on PC get it through emulation, but really great trilogy. I strongly suggest it. I think that everybody should have a chance to try this. And just, it helps me remember that 3D platformers are just so much fun. And I wish we would get more of them. Am I going to tell you that 3D platformers are my favorite game genre? No, not at all. I have other game genres that I like way more. But I do enjoy when, games like this were made and they were just made to be fun. It wasn't meant to break every record. It wasn't meant to do everything in the world and win every award. They were just meant for fun. And that's what these did for me. And it's what it does for me still to this day. So Jak and Daxter, this trilogy will always live in my heart and in my head. And I strongly suggest everyone to get their hands on this and play it as soon as they can. Because if not, you are missing out.